Oh, we are live. Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jeremy Leduc, and I head up partnerships and product marketing here. And I'm accompanied by John Murcott, our head of product and strategy. Hi, John.
Hey, Jeremy. Hi, everyone. Thanks for attending.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. We're on our second episode of our series, just talking about AI, Gen AI, and the last one we kind of introduced some major concepts. Here, we're going to start tying all of that stuff to ROI, right? The way I look at it is, if you don't have use cases that tie to ROI, it's kind of like having a feature, that doesn't have a strategy associated to it, right? The old saying, you don't want tactics chasing strategies, right? You want the strategies. And so you're actually going to see a little bit of under the covers with us today, because the way we talk about this with our customers is we get into sessions and we look at what's important to them, what their ROI metrics are, and things like that, right? And then we start tying it back. So you're actually going to see some of that today, and I'm excited to share it. So let's jump in. Let's go. So obviously we all know why we're here, right? I don't think, in time, I don't know what the time frame is, but pretty soon, every search bar out there, right? And when I say search bar, you're here for Hawk Search, and we're a third-party search, a lot on e-commerce websites, content websites. So that's our search bar. But there won't be a search bar out there that does not have some type of AI or Gen AI at some point, right? It's going to take it over because it's so powerful. And these are a couple interesting stats from Gartner, just talking about that, right? I mean, look at the first statistic that marketing departments, are going to go up to 60% are going to use Gen AI. Less than 10% were using it in 2023. The second one's very interesting, conversational AI and what we call conversational search. So using the search bar to start a conversation is also something that is absolutely exploding, and actually something we'll look at here. So let's keep going. So today we're going to hit on four things. We've got 30 minutes and we'll end on time. If you do have questions, feel free to ask, and we'll either see them and talk about them or not. We'll follow up afterwards and we'll get your questions answered. But we're going to look at, what are ROI drivers that we're seeing. We're going to look at what are the top use cases. Then we're going to dive in and look at actual customer stories and things we're actually doing. And then we've got a few more reference slides at the end. So if you actually want this deck, there's actually a lot in this deck today that we're going to be going through. Feel free to message us and we'll give it to you. So let's jump in. The first place we always start is we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. And to us, we are Hawk Search, but we have come out with so much new functionality around AI and Gen AI. We now have what we call Hawk AI, right? And that encompasses not only what we've done traditionally, which is keyword search, but that includes now what we call smart search, which is visual search, intent-based or concept search, smart response, which is using a lot of Gen AI to then present different user experiences or search experiences. But all of that is meant to drive relevancy, because relevancy drives conversions drive revenue. So John, we were laughing the other day, we've thought about replacing out relevancy drives conversion with relevancy drives revenue, right? Because True. That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
So let's start. We're going to start in the first topic on what are ROI drivers. Again, I mentioned we're going to show you a little bit under the covers. These are actual slides we work with our customers, where we get into brainstorming sessions, and we show them some of the other ROI drivers that our other customers are interested in, and then we brainstorm with them on theirs, right? So that we can, right out of the gate, we can look at what is it you guys are looking to do in 2025, and of course the top two are usually either revenue generation or cost savings. And here, these are some nice nuggets here of, these are actual ROI drivers that have actually come up, in sessions with our customers as to what they're looking to do, either generate more revenue or retain revenue, or maybe it's, new customer acquisition. And the list goes on and on, but these are great starters. And then if you go to the next one, the next two we typically see is around productivity, right? And efficiency. My merchandisers simply don't have time to do this stuff. Like, what can HawkSearch do to help us? Another really big one, of course, is your data. We have a gap in data, and we know that. What can you do to help? We're getting more and more searches, but we're finding a lot that some of the searches don't have very good results. And fixing our data is really difficult because it's coming from 10 different manufacturers. What do we do? So those are big ones. And then the last two is the customer experience is really important, right? And then an interesting one at the end is just, we're a leader in our industry, right? And we know that, and we want to maintain that leadership, right? We want to maintain, being the go-to. And therefore, we have to look at all this new capability. So a lot of information here, I know that. And like I said, if you want this for future reference, just ask. So, but these are a lot of the ROI drivers we see, right? And like I mentioned, what we then do is we take these ROI drivers and we tie them to, okay, what can we solve for, right? What are the use cases we're seeing? So let's look at that next. A lot of the use cases we're seeing, we actually bucket into three main areas, right? The search relevance itself. A lot of those ROI drivers on the last screen, if you think about it, right, they really fall under, I need to improve the search, right? The search is just not good, right? But what are the actual use cases around that? It's not always just, I need better relevancy and I need more precision, right? Sometimes your customers are asking to use images to upload things, right? Sometimes you're looking to just eliminate 0 results. So the use cases get very specific. The second one is around customer engagement, right? We're getting a lot of traffic, but when we go into our analytics, we're just not seeing the engagement from folks using our search that we expected. And so what do we do about that, right? And so we start analyzing the search results, and now using all of our new, what we call smart response, which is a lot of GenAI, we're able to take search results and do stuff that we were never able to do before, right? We can now answer questions, we can summarize, and we mentioned we can start a conversation, which is amazing and exciting. And then the third bucket is automation. And we'll talk about this a little bit. But everybody's probably heard AI agents or agentic, right? That's the ability for HawkSearch to go analyze something, but actually perform an action, have the agency to go do something about it. But what are the use cases around that, right? The use cases that we're seeing are, improving the data we mentioned, automating tasks that you just don't have time for. And an interesting one is, how do you automate searches with poor results? And so we'll touch on that, and that's a really interesting one. John, let's pause on that one because that one's really exciting. I know we've done a lot of work around that. Maybe you could give us just a high level on what that's looking like for us.
Sure. And what it really comes down to, Jeremy, because you're talking about automation, and these processes can take time. So even if you're considering something like a search with poor results, so like, wow, that's a term we didn't know, or whatever it may be, like that's why the results are poor. There are a lot of steps involved. You have to log in, you have to check the report, then you have to consider what can you do to improve those results, test those, and then get, synonyms, which is often a way to get around it. It is a process. So when you think agentic, which was the term you were talking about before, agentic AI, there's two key aspects. One is, of course, there are these multiple steps, but that also it has agency. It actually makes the change. So it's not just telling you, hey, you have a problem with the search term or whatever it may be. It's also saying, here are recommended fixes. Would you like to use these? And it's yes or no. And if you do, then the system will do it for you. And that's the important aspect of these agents, that it does have that agency. It actually has a change, an impact, an update to the system itself.
Yeah, that's incredible. All right, so these were the first couple bullets. We're now going to spend the balance of this conversation around, I think it's 4 or 5 actual specific use cases and dive into them. So let's jump in. The first one, conversational search. This is incredible. And John, thank you for actually shooting this clip here that we can actually see a conversation starting. But yeah, maybe frame this up for us. Let's just start with, like, what is conversational search, especially as it relates to the search bar, right? I know a lot of people are concerned about, like, well, I don't want to put a chatbot on my website. What are you talking about here?
Right, for sure. And, people are familiar with these chat bots, and, there's kind of mixed feelings sometimes. Do they really get the answers that I'm looking for? In our world, we know we're close to that engagement that you were talking about before, Jeremy, because if I go into the search bar, you pretty much know I am interested in something on your site. That's why I clicked on the search bar. And you've been talking about relevancy and why that's so important, because if there's more relevant results, you're going to get a better conversion. I don't think when you consider all of the options for getting the best relevancy and results, then asking a follow-up question, posing some additional options, perhaps doing an upsell, like this idea of guided selling, which is a real big part of the ROI that you were talking about before. It's kind of all encapsulated here. You still do have the search, make no mistake. The conversations go in multiple directions. So sometimes, in this case, this is just our demo site. Sometimes I'm talking about cooking. Sometimes I'm talking about camping. Sometimes I'm talking about hiking or climbing or what have you. But having that constant engagement, so it's not just here, a bunch of results. No, it's following up, and here's why I'm presenting it. Even though we think we have wonderful results and we're presenting them accurately, it's not necessarily, we don't explain in the search result why that is the top one, but you can in a conversation. So, Jeremy, that our boss, Ari, often says that the search bar should be like a salesperson. And that's really what happens, I would say, the most with conversational search.
Yeah. What do you do when you're trying to buy something? You ask a lot of questions. So,
Exactly.
So conversational.
I love
the.
What's the best thing for your salesperson to do? Number one, listen. And then number two, keep asking questions.
Keep asking questions.
So that's what the conversational search is designed to do.
So when you say guided selling, give me some specific examples. I know I people key into that and say, what do you mean? I know there's a great term, next best action to take, something like that. But what are you seeing in terms of guiding somebody to the next step? What are our customers? What are we working on with our customers?
Sure. And in general, we all love this concept that's often referred to as a recommendation. And that's how a lot of these things work, even in our own personal lives. Like someone recommended something, it's like, oh, that's a good idea. And having a recommendation widget, which is indeed something we have and is quite successful, is important and will continue to be important. But if you're having a conversation like this and it's making a recommendation in English, explaining it to you, showing you the product, the price, what have you, like that's really compelling. So that's maybe the way to kind of think of this like a recommendation. And the best way to upsell is to say, I have a lot of information, from our conversation. I know a lot. It's not just, well, I'm kind of recommending based on brand, or I'm recommending based on, some kind of high level attribute. It's like I'm making a recommendation based on a bunch of back and forth, conversation threads with this individual. So it just makes the recommendation and the upsell that much more compelling.
Yeah, that's incredible. All right, awesome. Well, let's jump to the next topic. It's in the same vein, but what's interesting is it's just a different aspect. So I'm just going to let you take this one because I know how excited you are. We love this capability.
Sure. And it does bring in, customer satisfaction as well. And there are always different use cases for these technologies, and we're always flexible in the way they're implemented. But this kind of addresses the point that, well, you gave me what I asked for, but not what I needed, which I always loved as a expression that a client once told me. You gave me what I asked for, but not what I needed. And the thing is, if you do ask a question, something specific about a product, think like B2B, I have a bunch of specifications and I just need to confirm that dimension or confirm, with that size or whatever it may be. It is certainly wonderful if you tell me, here's the document that has the answer for you. And that is a fair point. I mean, we're a search tool. We're telling you it's in this document, and that's helpful. But imagine if I could actually just tell you what the answer to your question was. It's this dimension, it's this size, it works with this much weight, or whatever those details may be. And it's just another, I think, compelling example within this world of smart response to say, we're trying to save your customers time. And if they like going to your site and the customer satisfaction goes up and they're finding the information they need, and by the way, this could be exactly the kind of information that maybe alters my next search, or maybe it starts the conversation, what have you. Yeah, I always love that diagram we showed in the beginning, Jeremy, with the more technology you can add just improves the relevancy. Just imagine like someone asks a question looking for whatever it's a size or a dimension or whatever it may be, and you're just saying, hey, it's in this document, good luck. But if you can say, no, this is the answer, would you like to see some some more details around it? Or did you know that this product also does this, or whatever it may be, kind of going back to the recommendation we talked about before. It's a really compelling use case.
Now, in this little video we're watching, I feel I see a combination of the product details themselves, but there's also another support document. So explain. I think that's a really powerful aspect of this. That we can go out to another source and pull information back.
Oh, for sure. And it's not unusual, especially in the B2B world. I certainly have my product page on the site and it has the highlights and the price and add to cart and everything else. But typically, there is that supporting document, maybe the tech specs or some additional information that's in a PDF. And there are multiple ways to handle this, and that's super important. But imagine if you could not only index the metadata of that file, like the name of it or the category of it, or I just know that this PDF file exists because it's referenced from the product page. It's helpful and it's nice to know. But imagine if the search term that someone puts in there includes information that's in the PDF. And as you know, Jeremy, sometimes these PDF files, they could be 5 pages long. They could be 10 pages long. And even if you're indicating, hey, there's more information in this PDF file, it can be quite long. And especially if they're telling you exactly what they're looking for, why not just do 2 things? Number 1, tell them what the answer is. And number 2, still provide the link to the file. Like, we're not opposed to showing the search results. Sometimes you may turn off the rest of the search results and only have the dialogue, experience within Smart Response. In most cases, it makes sense to show both. There's a lot of flexibility here, but that's essentially what's going on. So to kind of explain underneath the covers, we do index the entire PDF file. It's a capability of the platform. So you can think of it as just going through and grabbing all of the content that's on the file itself. Then we generate a thumbnail of it. Sometimes that's helpful. We also typically generate a synopsis, because if you are seeing the results of all of those files, for example, it can be helpful just to get a quick synopsis of it. But regardless, when we see the question, and we do find a good response in one of the PDF files, for example, we then take the information we took off the PDF file. It's probably a table or some kind of bulleted list of features and or specifications, as we said, and we give that to the GenAI and say, this was the original question. We know the answer is in this document because we use Smart Search to find it. Can you please provide the actual answer, the GenAI, can you please provide the actual answer? And then we take that response and we put it in the Smart Response interface there.
Yeah, what an incredible, user experience, customer journey versus saying, hey, we think the answer might be in this support document over here. Just go find it.
Exactly. And these, to go to some of your kind of bigger points here, Jeremy, you can think of these all as components. I know we're showing them all as specific features because, people have different needs and different use cases. But in the end, you can think of these as components. There's nothing saying that you can't start the conversation after you gave the answer to what dimension, does this support, or how much weight can it withstand, or whatever else it is. All of these things interact with each other. And regardless, no conversation starts and or no smart response starts until you have a smart response, right? First, you have to query the system, because we only have these types of interactions, these responses with your data. Right? We're not going to the general internet to answer these questions. We're only looking at your data. So it always starts with a search. Then when the search comes back, we, as I said, take the information from, in this case, the PDF, ask the GenAI to answer it.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, and hopefully this is tying back. Like this is the crux of it, right? Where, if we have a customer come to us to say, here's the use case we have, we've got a lot of supporting documents that have a lot of great information, and it's actually what our customers need, but there's a lot of frustration because they can't get to it. It's not easy to read through 5 pages of a PDF. This is where the rubber meets the road, where we say, hey, I know we're throwing out a lot of terminology, but at the end of the day, if that's your goal, right? If that customer experience, we have this set of technology that we could deploy to make that happen. And that's what we're talking about here, right? Is tying that your use case to the fact that, it's that there's ROI associated to it, and that we have new technology to address it. Well, let's jump to the.
Well, Jeremy, just super quick, we talk about customer satisfaction, et cetera. As you know, so many times when you're on various pages on an e-commerce site, even in the search results, there's that thumbs up or thumbs down. Was this helpful? Well, it's certainly very helpful if you actually give me the answer to my question. Just imagine how that would improve the number of thumbs up that you get, because you're actually not just telling me where the answer is, you're giving me the answer.
Yeah. And these are powerful. Like when we looked at the matrix up above of all the different types of ROI and endeavor, goals that our customers are after, a lot of these things like this actually ticks the box on 2 or 3 of the goals that a customer comes to us for. So not only increases search relevance, but customer satisfaction, increases revenue, engagement. So it's actually, we're ticking several boxes because a lot of this technology is so powerful when we put it in place. So, well, the next one's interesting. It's a big deal, and we kind of tucked it in the middle here, but what we call unified search, also known as a hybrid search, is amazing. And John, explain to us what a hybrid search is.
Yeah, and it's interesting, as I was saying before, Jeremy, this idea of components, like we don't per se care how people like to present this information and what the user experience should be. We want as much flexibility as possible. And along the lines of flexibility, it could just be, these are different ways to search. They're just different ways to search, and you can kind of explore and approach it how you like. On the other hand, you might say, why don't I just put all of this technology into one component, and through unified or the hybrid search, which essentially means I take the best of keyword search, I take the best of what we call concept search, using the large language model, and the visual search, so the image search, the description of the image, in order to give a single search experience. So still overall, we're agnostic. If you want to separate these things, if you like to have different, like, hey, not finding what you're looking for, click here, maybe start a conversation, or click here to try concept search, or click here to upload your picture. We don't per se care, but unified search is becoming more and more popular, just because it simplifies the whole process. I know it's a little hard to see with these videos, but one of the other nice innovations, I think, that we added with this unified hybrid search is that we did put in some dynamic scrolling examples, because if there's just one search bar, people might not realize, like, oh my gosh, I can ask a question, or I could describe a picture, or do all of the more advanced AI type searches. So not only did we unify it just to have one search bar that leverages these various technologies, but we also kind of provide examples of the types of questions you can now ask in that single search bar.
Yeah. And again, the use case here is relevancy, right? But the ROI is, with this kind of search results, we are seeing dramatic increase in the relevancy and the precision and the number of relevant results.
Yeah.
just it's easy to tie this back to ROI. Real quick, one of the things I love when I see us engaging with a customer on unified search is taking their data and running just a keyword search, and then just a concept search, and then just an image search, and seeing how different they all are.
Yeah.
But then seeing how unified takes them all and actually comes up with the best result. That's a really fascinating thing to watch a customer go through that journey with us, to see just how these different search methods find their products, and then how we put the algorithms on top of that to then give a result set that's just incredible. That honestly, you're really close to our customers. I mean, they are typically blown away. I don't think they knew that anything could produce such a great list of results.
Yeah. And maybe just one other aspect to that I didn't highlight, but just to be clear, is there are some scenarios, you were talking about it before, Jeremy, where you might say, we have some gaps in our data, or there's kind of problems, but it could be that, wow, the pictures are so perfect. And we always kind of joke, a picture is worth 1,000 words, which is kind of what's going on with image search. The vector does capture the description of what it is. So there are going to be scenarios, Jeremy, where a customer says, you know what, I want to skew, I'm going to boost the image search results a little bit because it's so valuable. So there's so much value, so to speak, in the picture, because the picture is so perfectly descriptive of what this product is. And we have some customers, like, that was the defining decision that we want to go ahead with Hawk Search and Unified Search in particular, because the images were perfect. The keyword data, the descriptions were a little bit lacking, and just other challenges, but the pictures were so perfect. We just boosted up the image search results, and the results are really, really powerful. So there's a lot of flexibility here too.
Yeah. It's like filling in gaps in your text data, right? It's like finding new attributes that you literally don't have in any of the text for your products. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump. We've only got a few minutes here. We'll touch on one more, and we're going to jump to the other side of the coin. We've been talking about really from the customer experience standpoint, the journey, the front end, but let's jump to the back end and the merchandisers. And we certainly have not forgotten the team that is working on the back end to make your website great, and the tools that we're building for them.
Yeah. So, and not to get too much. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting, because we were kind of talking before about components and there's flexibility, but even if you take a step back from that, really what's going on underneath the covers here is APIs and, like functions, actions. And just to your point, hey, this is just another user experience. This is an example here in this video of automatically generating synonyms. So it's not unusual that customers say, look, I kind of know what some of these words are, but I don't know, maybe there's some other suggestions of what's involved. One thing that's important, you'll notice that we do provide the suggested synonyms, but it's still the individual that makes the decision. Yes, I'd like to include these. And in general, this is something that's important to us when we talk about a lot of this Gen AI capability, is that it's a collaboration. It's not designed to replace anything. It's designed to enhance or improve or make more efficient. So this is a perfect use case inside of Hawk Search to improve the productivity of internal teams.
Yeah, and this is great. We mentioned AI agents or agentic at the beginning. This type of feature is really the foundation of the platform from which you're going to build something that can autonomously then go and do these things, right? So the foundation is there, the ability to make these changes is there, and now we're going to make them agentic. So, and this one
I know we're hitting up on time. We love talking about this, Jeremy. So maybe even just take one more step back. You might say, thank you so much for suggesting those synonyms. But what if I go one more step further and just say, I don't even want to tell you what the synonyms are. Can't you just go through all of my data? We're feeding you all of this in our indexing process. Can't you, the system, the process, go through all of that data, pick out the appropriate words that would work well with synonyms, for example, and incorporate that automatically. So I don't even go into your tool, theoretically, in this case. You just do it automatically. And then there could be some scenarios, and we've done this for customers, where we do that and it can impact HawkSearch, but we can also send it back and say, well, maybe you should put some of this information in your PIM, to go further upstream, so to speak. So there's a lot of flexibility here. And this is where we're starting to introduce this idea of agents. We were kind of talking a little bit before about how that works. And that's what a lot of the 2025 roadmap is.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, great. This was a lot of fun. It went a lot faster than I thought. Last point we'll make is if you feel that you want to look at how am I ready for all of this, that's a big thing we do with our customers is AI and GenAI readiness, and we have a whole plan around that, and we work with our customers. And so if you're interested in any of that, please reach out. We'd love to talk to you about whether you're ready for all of this and what does it take? What are the questions you need to be asking yourself? So with that, John, thanks so much. This was incredible.
Thanks, Jeremy.
A lot of great information. Thank you everybody for joining, and you can look for us in our next webinar in 2 weeks from now. Thanks everybody.
Great. Thank you. Bye.